All right, we'll record this meeting so that we can make it available afterwards as well. Yeah, so the topic for today is from average to excellence, how to develop a solar business and how to lead the solar business into excellence. The motivation behind the topic is that the industry in South Africa has been really growing over the past years, and the market is getting a bit tougher. Many companies are trying to enter the growing industry. So for the solar industry, or for the solar companies, it's time to specialize a bit more, stand out from the masses, and adapt something that makes them special from everyone else. And I hope that today we can explore on this question a bit further, how to stand out from the crowd. And we have 5 people here who do have some experience in the industry already and who have some different interesting points of view. For those who do not know me, I'm Vivian. I am one of the directors of Green Solar Academy, and I'll be moderating the session, obviously. And on the logistics, just very briefly, I said already we are recording this for later. I have here my co-director Antje on my side. She will be reading the chat. So if you have any questions on the way, there is a little button that says Q&A at the bottom where you can just type your questions. And then if it fits, I'll sneak them into the conversation on the go. And otherwise we'll also have, there's Antje, hello. And otherwise we'll also make some time at the end for questions from the audience. So whatever you have, whatever you want to ask our panelists, just type it in the chat. Okay, then before we get started, I have a little bit of own advertising to do. Just very briefly, maybe you already saw that we have something called the Hidden Gems Challenge going on at the moment. It is part of our Women's Day campaign, where we would like to promote women in the PV industry. And we thought we would just include everyone on the hunt for hidden gems, women who would be very valuable in the solar industry, but haven't been discovered yet. So if you have any woman in your network that you think should be joining the PV industry, bring her to one of our courses and we will reward you with some interesting prizes. For example, 1 of 2 junction boxes sponsored by Fronius, or a free super solar school sponsored by Emers and Jinko, or some other exciting prizes. You can check our website for more info. To make it a bit easier, we give 30% discount for every woman that registers for a course. And for equality, we also give 30% if a man accompanies the woman to the course. Questions on that, please also put in the chat, and then we'll get back to you on that. All right, but that's enough of introduction. I'm sure you're already excited to hear what our panelists have to say. So I asked them to start by introducing themselves with a little pitch at the beginning. And I asked who they are and how they ended up where they are now, and to give us a statement, what for you is average and excellence in solar. And I would like Sophia to start. Sophia, we've known each other for quite a long time already. Sophia is based in Pretoria. She is company owner and founder of Suna Energy, and is a proper leader of a solar company. Over to you, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Thank you. Yes, thanks for being here. It's very exciting. So to introduce myself, firstly, my name is Sophia Nortje. I am German, married to a South African. So you can hear my German accent in my Afrikaans surname. In any case, so we have, I guess I came to South Africa about 8 years ago, and I've been in the solar industry in California, New Zealand before that. So I did a double master's degree with a German university and a New Zealand university, just to give you a little background of, you know, where I come from and how I ended up in the solar industry. I, after my studies in New Zealand, stayed on for 8 years in New Zealand, and then was in kind of the ESCOM of New Zealand, maybe. But in any case, so I was there as a project manager in first normal electricity projects, and then in the renewable energy, where we would kind of oversee solar systems being installed mostly off the grid in little islands around New Zealand for meteor weather stations and all of that. And then from there, I actually went and lived for 3 years in California. I also was part of a solar company there. A lot of product knowledge, a lot of solar knowledge from that time. That company I worked for did from residential to commercial to even bigger utility projects. And then when I came to South Africa, I was then got married, came to South Africa, wanted to stay in the solar industry because it was really exciting to me to, and seeing obviously what opportunities there are in South Africa, the massive amount of sunshine they have, and obviously the solutions with the load shedding. I then first worked for Mac Solar, which is a German distributor company. And from there, I started my own business. I worked partly for Solar Edge as a sales manager for a couple of years, introducing the Tesla Powerwall to the country. It's a great industry to be in. So, but then I started my own company, and I am really enjoying it. We are focused mostly on residential and smaller commercial projects. We've done the German embassy, I'm very proud of. We've done some of the NHC buildings, Life Hospital, those type of smaller commercial, and then obviously lots and lots and lots of residential, mostly with battery backup. 2019, we actually won the hybrid installation of the year for a 3-phase hybrid installation. So that's kind of a little bit the realm or the niche we're playing in, I would say. What else? The background kind of coming from California, then staying in South Africa, wanting to stay in the company or in the industry. And now, lastly, as a statement, what is average? What is excellence? When I think about it, average to me is a bit like Mr. Google. So if you just Google solar, you Google poly panels or versus monocrystalline and whatever comes out, that everybody can know. To me, excellence, especially dealing with homeowners, dealing with clients, is to create brilliant solutions specifically tailor-made for them, for the homeowners, to really take into consideration when are they consuming the power, how much battery backup do they need, and to, I think we really want to take it very serious and install systems that we would install at our own homes, our own parents' homes, our own friends' homes, and use excellent products and obviously excellent workmanship. So yeah, that's from me.
Thank you. That's really interesting. I think you have lots of angles to look at, especially the experience from the US and New Zealand. That's exciting. I'm thrilled to hear more. Next up, we have Historina. She is a solar project engineer for Distributed Power Africa, but she told me previously that she also has her own business, which she founded besides her work at DPA. So a woman involved in many different projects. We would love to hear more about that. You're still on mute.
Thank you, Vivian, and good afternoon, everyone. So from my side, my career started in the South African Navy. I'm a former lieutenant who used to work as a platform engineer for one of the Navy's exciting projects, where the South African Navy decided to build its own hydrographic survey ship here in South Africa, in Durban. But as you mentioned, I now work for Distributed Power Africa, our DPA in short, as a solar project engineer. So DPA supplies commercial and industrial customers with efficient and green solar energy installations without an initial capital outlay. So basically, it finances all its installations, and this also includes the residential customers as well. So in that DPA, I do the solar PV designs and installations, and simulations and bill of quantities. I also conduct site assessments, and during the installations, I work closely with our solar project, our project manager, and as well as the site managers. So as you mentioned, I'm also the co-founder of AE Energy. So AE Energy specializes in solar geyser installations and LP gas installations. We co-founded AE Energy with my husband in 2017, but then we only officially started operating this year. So a little bit of what I studied. So I studied electrical engineering degree at the University of Cape Town, and I'm currently pursuing a master's degree at the University of Witwatersrand, hoping to complete it this year. So how my solar career journey started, it was when my lecturer was running late for one of our lectures. And then I was having a small chat with one of my classmates. So this was last year, beginning of the year. And then when I decided to pursue the master's degree, so the classmate happens to own a renewable energy company. And he mentioned that he was looking for an engineer who's going to assist him with the solar designs and installations for his residential customers. And that's how my solar career started. And then, so what I understood with what happened with that experience with him, I understood when people normally say that when you have discussions with people, you must people or strangers, you must always make sure that whatever you say counts, because you'll never know where those where the conversations may lead to. So I will forever be grateful to Mr. Dumisama Tebula and his company, Asia Green, for introducing me to the solar industry. So what I appreciated about my solar career is being able to witness the power generation, distribution, transmission and distribution all at once. So and all the installations and designs are most of the time they're always unique, and then that's where you bound to learn new things, and I think that happens most of the time because they are unique. And what I have learned with in my solar career is that so solar, it is still a new concept. So therefore, one should allow themselves to absorb and learn as much as they can while executing their tasks. And then the mistake that I made over the years was being hard on myself, especially when you don't understand certain things, and then you feel like you are wasting people's time, and then you are letting people down. So to anyone, I know you have your solar installers who are graduating. So my message to them is that they must do themselves a favor. They must not do what I was doing, being hard on themselves. They must just cut themselves some slack and then learn as much as they can, because eventually everything will make sense, and everything eventually will be a hunky-dory. So the average to excellence, excellent to me. So average would mean just doing the minimum required, and then the excellent would be going an extra mile. So for the companies to reach it, for a company to reach its excellence, so I believe it should have a solid teamwork with enough resources. And then I would also encourage an organization or the company to have a lot of females in their organization, and they will never go wrong. So my boss, Mr. Moyo, he's a fan of this other African proverb that says, "Where women rule, streams run uphill." So now that goes to show that the women make things happen. So yeah, and that's basically a brief introduction about myself.
Thank you. Very interesting. I already have a million questions to you. What I find most interesting is that you have actually a technical background. And now with the foundation of your own company, you're forced also to do the management and look at all the aspects of running a solar business. And I think a lot of people in our audience can resonate with that. So we'll explore on that further. Thank you. Next up, I have Jennifer. Jennifer is quite new in the PV industry, I would say. She did her PV assessment just recently, and her company was founded beginning of this year, she told me before. So there's an interesting journey ahead of you, but I'm sure from then until now, you already experienced quite a bit. So tell us a bit more.
Okay, so as you guys heard, we're a newly company. We actually started, one of our clients offered to open up a solar company together. I finished matric last year. I had 4 years experience in the solar industry with my father that subcontracted for someone. And then I just wanted to earn some extra money, so I helped out. And then I actually found it very interesting. I recently done, well, I commissioned yesterday my own girls team's installation. And what we focus on most is our quality and our service when we're doing an installation. And I think the motivation came more from my father's side and the load shedding as well, because it's not going to get better. It's only getting worse.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
What is in solar? What is average and what does excellence mean for you?
I think the average means doing the installation, but I think the excellence is the service and the quality of the installation and the after service.
Okay. Very important point. I think we'll get back to that a lot. But yeah, impressive that you have 4 years of experience with matric, just finished matric. That's cool. That's more than many people who attend our courses have when they start there. So that's cool. All right. Then next we have somebody with even more experience. We have Louise. She has got 20 years of experience in sales, and I saw you stated right on your LinkedIn, I love what I do. So yeah, tell us what you do.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon. Thanks for having me, and I hope we have a good chat throughout this hour. So yeah, it's actually I'm older. I'm 49 this year, so I've got 28 years of sales experience, Maybe I must update that LinkedIn site a little bit. My sales experience is really predominantly in very male-orientated industries. So I come from oil and gas, software industries, and then obviously recently in the renewable industry. I've been in the renewable industry for 4 years. I kicked it off at Freedom One, which is a local storage battery manufacturer. I've been with them for about 3.5 years, and then one of my clients, Get Off Grid, recruited me, and I'm now working at Get Off Grid. So at Get Off Grid, we are a tier 1 Victron distributor. We are the largest Victron distributor in Africa and the second largest in the world. And we are the sole importer of BSL storage units for Africa and Mauritius. So yeah, in total on the renewable side, my focus really has been on storage, but I've recently really learned a lot about solar and inverters and everything like that. I've sold probably about 150 megawatt hours of storage, from very small batteries right up to megawatt hour installations. I'm very excited about this industry in South Africa, where it's going. It's still in its infancy stage, and I can only see it going from strength to strength. For myself personally, in sales, I think sales for me is not just a default career. It really is a profession, and it's a profession that requires a lot of meticulous skill and EQ. And a lot of the people in solar at the moment, whether they own their own companies, whether they are an installer or a distributor, obviously are deeply involved in sales on a daily basis. Whether you're selling yourself, your product, or your service, it's all about sales morning, noon, and night. What I see as average in this industry, and I see it a lot, is where everybody's really just doing what is the norm, what is enough to get by. The industry is a growing industry, so it's not very difficult to be quite successful, but you can also get coasting along quite easily. And then when it starts getting a little bit tough, which I think we're now going into a different phase of this industry, where there's a lot of supply and maybe the demand is a little bit constrained, just doing that little bit that's enough to get by is definitely not going to crack it going forward. It's almost like really just, I see a lot of people selling product and services just on price, where they are competing, and they do not come to the party with the value added benefits, both for the customer when it comes to their service as well as their products. So yeah, I think it's time to redefine what this industry is about, and I'm hoping that this webinar can kick it off. What I do see as excellent is when you pitch up every day, willing to be a student, willing to learn, and engaging with people with humility. That's really a differentiator when it comes to service and engaging and interacting and connecting with people. We are at a time now where you are going to have to look at being very agile and redefining yourself literally every day, because we've got economic challenges and we've got COVID challenges and we've got a whole range of stuff that we've got to face. So that agility every single day, being willing to redefine what you do, who you are, and how you approach the stuff that you do is incredibly important. A big thing that I see in this industry, which I think is excellent, and the people that get it right is very successful, is when you are able to execute effectively. I think it's to do because there's so many men in this industry, and sorry if I offend anybody, but men don't execute well because they don't plan well, in my opinion. And if you can get that execution level up to 80%, you will literally be flying. So when I talk about execution, it's not just about saying stuff and doing stuff. It's really about going that extra mile, doing what you say you will do, doing it when you say you will do it, and planning very, very well for the future. A lot of people in this industry don't plan well. To move away from that sensitive price positioning all the time when it comes to products and services, it's important that people start looking at the value-based offering. So what is the value that you bring to the party when you sell a product or a service? And then my personal favorite is to do a little bit a lot rather than a lot a little bit. And I like what Historina said about failing, and she touched on failing a little bit. You've got to literally be very comfortable with failing forward and be comfortable with that discomfort of failing and just take it then again head on the next day. That is what is excellence is about for me. I look forward to speaking to all of you.
Thank you. That was super interesting. And I think it's great that you bring in so much experience from other industries, and especially also that management angle. All the engineers and technicians definitely have to catch up on that. So it's great that we have you to share. Thank you. Last not least, we have Mo. Mo is technical sales advisor at Fronius. Fronius is a generous sponsor of the Hidden Gems Challenge. And when we told him about this event, he was immediately on board. I hope you don't mind that you're among ladies today. That's how it feels in this industry for us. Not always. Yeah, Mo, you're in touch with many companies all across the country, and the manufacturers are a very important part of the industry. So I'm sure you will also have valuable insights for us.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Vivian. Yeah, I'll just like to introduce Fronius International. So we basically have a local office in South Africa, and we are based in Midrand. But yeah, just to tell you more about myself, I am an electrical engineer by qualification. Yeah, when did I start in the solar industry? I think I started close to, 3 years ago. That's when I first started, getting into the solar industry, learning about the solar industry, and yeah, starting off with Fronius as well. With Fronius, Fronius is a OEM, so just for some of you that don't know what that stands for, it's basically an original equipment manufacturer. We do manufacture grid-tied inverters, hybrid inverters for the residential and commercial, and we sort of creep as well sometimes into the utility scale as well. So our footprint is fairly broad. We are involved in many different sized installations. So, I mean, you can find a Fronius system in a 5 kilowatt system, and you can also find a Fronius system in a 10 megawatt system. So, as I said, we really do spread ourselves quite well in the industry. Yes, my role in the company. Yeah, so I think with me being in the company, my main focus is to basically manage our distributors for the Southern African region, and also to take care of any pre-sales queries that come in on a daily basis. Also to provide engineering support and assistance, which again is used quite a lot through EPC companies, which is basically an engineering and procurement company, as well as installation companies as well. A lot of installation companies do have a lot of planning, even for a 5 kilowatt residential system. They go all out, they do simulations, they basically do a proper engineering design, and that is again the way you should do it. It doesn't mean it's a small system, you don't have to plug things into a program. So yeah, my suggestion is what sets a average installer from a excellent installer in the industry. I would say an excellent installer is an installer who, as I said earlier on, does a lot of research into the system. I mean, he does a lot of planning, a lot of engineering into the system, and also using good quality products. So let me call it tier 1 products. That is very important. You do get a lot of, I'm going to call it fly-by-night installers, because there is a lot of them on the market, and they go about installing substandard systems. If you are going to become one of those installers, I highly suggest against that. Reason being, if you install 50 products of a sub-superior quality, in about 4 or 5 years, you're going to have 50 problems. So that's the way I see it. And my recommendation is, if you start with quality and you propose quality for your customers, you're going to grow your business much more quickly, and you're going to have a much stress-free future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, interesting. I think that struggle, good products, good quality products, is something that we're facing every single day. And Fronius definitely counts on the good side. So good to have you on board. Yeah. First question, I would say, maybe we start at the beginning. Where does company development start? We have two people here who recently started a company, and Sophia also founded her own company a while ago. So maybe Sophia, when you remember back the time when you founded your own company, what were the considerations that you took at the beginning? What were the thoughts that you had in the planning process?
So firstly, obviously starting the company to sell the very first project is always the most difficult one, because when you tell other people and they ask, what's your experience? What have you done? And you're like, sorry, you're the first one. It's always the very most difficult one. But I really think that whole question on quality of products, pricing versus what do the clients want? Are they only comparing on price? I think in the very beginning, it was really a consideration with the company itself. And I think the very first ones you try out a little bit, but I fully agree to what Mo said. If you install substandard products, you will have lots of problems. After 1 year, when the warranty is done, 1 year and 2 months, the product fails, and then the client still feels he paid a lot of money for it. And it's just not where you want to be as a company. So I think fairly early, I decided to just position myself with that company to really not compete on price as such. We have fair prices, we have, not overpriced, but we're not competing on price. We're competing with excellent quality of products, excellent service and workmanship and after sales and all of that, because so that's kind of one of the things. And another point is really product selection, because you cannot be fully excellent as such in maybe 10 different inverters. Everyone has a slightly different programming, everyone has different monitoring systems and all of this. And I found to kind of focus on a couple inverters that we want to sell, that we feel comfortable with, very open obviously to the market and what is happening and new products coming into the market, but also not necessarily jumping on every new product that comes just because it's now there, because it just doesn't it doesn't help to install things which then don't work, or you don't have a lot of even technical. It's such an important thing to have technical assistance in South Africa, where it's not somewhere in China. Someone may have an email address that can answer a question about some sort of programming issue you might run in. I found that a very important point of how to select products we're using, that there is good technical support inside South Africa, just as an example of how we would select products. I actually forgot what you asked initially.
I think you answered it and a lot more. You said like settling down on a product is an important part of the process to find your identity as a company. Mm-hmm. But how do you know which product at the beginning is a good one? Maybe Jennifer, you can share part of that process, how it works at Candor Solar. Have you figured out something already, or how do you look at different products and how do you decide?
First of all, we look at the warranty and the guarantee on the product. The higher it is, I'll say the more quality it has. And we did do a few of those cheap ones, and then there was no warranty, no guarantee when we started the first installation. And then after that, we started doing our homework and doing a bit research on the product we will be selling.
So there was like a bit of trial and error involved in the process.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we heard at the beginning mistakes are part of the journey. I think that's good. Maybe Louise, as a sales expert, how do you train your clients to buy the good products that are slightly more expensive? What is your strategy? What would you say? How can you convince your clients?
I do think it, Jennifer spoke a lot about it. A lot of it, the weight is on the warranty. And there's a difference between a warranty and a guarantee as well, and the lifespan of the equipment, as well as then the local support, which is what I think Jennifer, was it Sophia that spoke a little bit about the local support in South Africa. So those are really the key items, because people want to know that if something goes wrong in the product itself, that they are going to have that backup for a replacement. And is that backup in South Africa? Is it a cell phone number in China with like a 7, 8, 9 hour time difference as well? Those are really the key elements. And then it's around the value proposition as well. So people like to shop baskets so that they don't have to deal with a lot of different people, but they actually buy the products in one central place and build that relationship up for support and future relationship stuff at one central point, not all over the place. We do at Get Off Grid, I mean, we sell Victron and we sell Freedom One and BSL. Those are all tier 1 type of products with those type of warranties. And we do find that when those new stuff comes into the market that's cheap and nasty, and it's got, they've got a lot of stock and it's easily available at a compressed price, which we can't compete with, you've also got to know when to walk away from stuff. And I think that goes for installers as well. If you go with customers that constantly squeeze the blood out of you when it comes to price, that you are considering to go to products that is really not going to have that lifespan or that backup for you when you get that phone call at 11 o'clock at night when Eskom is down. You've got to learn to know when to walk away and rather work harder on the deals that's got more margin and that's going to be solid for you than scrap for every single little thing that's out there.
How difficult is it to realize that? Maybe Historina, because you're so, it's a different field, solar geysers, but I'm sure you have the same problems in your solar geyser company as well. How do you stay long enough and say no until the pressure is too high that you have to close the first job and then you say yes to cheaper components? How do you deal with that?
Firstly, so when we started AE Energy, we noticed the gap, like when people do that, when residential customers do their solar PVs. So most of the time, what from the knowledge that I know, it's that they normally don't include the gas, I mean not gas, the stoves and the geysers when they size their solar PVs. So that's when we noticed the gap, that maybe we should consider that side of a service, so that we don't compete with everybody else, because everyone is excited about solar and we know that the pie is big, everyone can get that piece. But then we decided that instead of competing with other people, and then we focus on just the geyser and the stoves. So what with regards to what will help us to make sure that we don't we choose the right equipment or materials. So our goal is to make sure that we are able to sleep well at night. So in order to sleep well at night, you have to make sure that whatever installation you did, everything you did well, and you picked a good product. So if for us choosing the good products, because when we started, we were also not sure which products are good and which ones are not good. So what we did, we also did a little bit of research. So we went for the known brands, and then we also went for sometimes people say when the product is expensive, it's of good quality. So sometimes we had to balance between the two, because some others it was not good quality, although they are expensive. So echoing with I think one of the panelists. So you have to also look at the one that has the local, I think it was Louise. So you have to also look at the product that has the local support, especially when you're trying the new ones, so that, you know, in case should anything happens, should anything wrong happen, then you know who to call, and you know, they're always available at all the time. You're not gonna be left with the angry client, because if that client is angry, that means you're losing other clients that you might have gotten with referrals from the same client. So yeah, I'm not sure if I responded to exactly to what you asked, because I think I was all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the topic is complex, so it is not just one sentence. But you said something very important. You pointed out that competing prices is difficult, and you proposed instead to create a unique selling point for your product, to give like reasons that make you stand out. For example, offering the complete solution of solar geyser and solar integrated, which is a competency that not every single company has. So I think that is a really good advice, to be clear about what you have to offer, what is your unique feature that you offer your clients, and then point that out instead of the price. And the audience agrees. We had a comment that says competing prices is not the best strategy. So how price sensitive are our clients? When speaking to clients, when discussing with clients, how sensitive are they to price or to quality? Where's the priority of the clients? Louise, you already reacted. Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, let's get real about our current situation in South Africa at the moment. I assume everybody on this from South Africa. So at the moment, it is very clear that we are competing for share of wallet. So the consumers are constrained out there. There's limited money to be spending. So they are, even though they might desperately want superior products and they might desperately want to go off grid or have backup power, I'm talking specifically domestic now, they are price sensitive. There is a bit of momentum at the moment on the commercial side, where there is not the commercial entities out there have realized that they've now really got to go in and get themselves sorted to get that power security with the country situation at the moment. But I think that even in this time, you know, you can, it's very sensitive. The installers at the moment, I see people, it's a bloodbath how people are undercutting each other and how they are doing deals for the bare minimum margin. And it's not sustainable, and it's definitely not healthy. I would, at this moment in time, strongly suggest that people start looking at value propositions. So if you come to that point where it is tough out there and you have to start cutting down on price just to get those one or two deals in, see how you can redefine your value proposition for your customer to bring in additional stuff like additional after-sale support, some monitoring stuff, to make sure that it's not just about the price, although we are operating in a price sensitive market. And it's definitely not an easy challenge, but we are South Africans, so we are used to these difficult challenges. So I do think that if you really look at your offering and your products and what you are and who you are in the industry and how you want to differentiate yourself, that you must stay away from that price discussion to go down rock bottom as much as possible. Let it be a last resort. Because if you offer a good solution and service, your customer will take a double take and see where they can find that extra 10 or 15,000 Rand to make a deal with you. And people buy from people, so always make sure that you are a little bit more enthusiastic about what you do than the person next to you is offering it at 3.50 Rand.
Definitely, yeah. Sophia, Solar Edge is also at the upper edge of the budget, and it is definitely a premium product. How did you experience that in the market?
Look, I think I have to say that when I started the company, I really loved the solar industry. So I think firstly, being excited and enthusiastic about what you do is very important to even stay focused or want to be excellent and learn and grow in the different products that are coming to the market. But I was a bit in the privileged position that I just decided to start a company because to sell one project a month is still better than nothing type of thing. So yeah, so I think it's very different if you, I don't know how to say it. So if this is the only income you have and you started a company and you have to sell something to make a living, obviously you might want to undercut someone. I started the company and I thought, awesome, if I sell a project, if I don't, it's not so bad. I don't have office space to pay rent for. In this beginning was only by myself, so I didn't have staff to pay, which now I have, but that's also very exciting. But in any case, so it was a little bit more, yeah, let's see if I sell something that's awesome, but I'm not going to go to the very, very lowest point. And I decided to stay with excellent products because that's just the market I thought I wanted to serve in a way. So I think it's a little bit difficult to generalize because if someone's living depends on it and they make nothing versus, okay, 5,000 Rand less and they'd rather have at least a little bit of income, it's probably a tough thing to say that. But I always look in all the last years, I think it's now 7-8 years or whatever long, I don't even remember. We've only really had positive experience to focus on good quality, because I don't ever have to go, we don't really ever have to go back to any of our clients. They don't call us because they have issues. They call us because they have friends who they want to refer. They call us because they want to add another battery. They want to add another row of panels. They really, they're very happy. Any of my clients, I can give them to anyone and they can call whoever they want. They're all happy, so it's really the quality and the customer service and to be close to the clients where you actually don't oversell. That's another thing that I decided in the very beginning, to not maximize the panels on their roof just because maybe an extra 2 or 3 would fit. But I always say, look, let's rather start with less, because with the limit or non-export in South Africa in most places, if they produce too much during lunchtime and nobody is there and they're not really able to use it, it's completely lost. And I said they can always add a couple of panels, which like with Solar Edge or N-Phase or any other optimizers, I guess you can add to other inverters. It's very easy to. Also always said, look, rather start smaller. You can always add more panels, but if you have 20 and 10 would have been enough, you can't really take them off. You can't really sell them again. And I think also with that approach, you gain a lot of trust with your clients because they are seeing that you really want the best for their situation and you don't necessarily want to maximize your profit on a project as such. So I found that approach. We have most of our installs are referral installs where people, they just love it. It works after all the many years. They just want to add a couple of extra panels or batteries or refer us to their family or friends or build another house or whatever, So yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think there was a lot of things in what you said. Most important, I think, is the advice to have the self-confidence to offer less, even though you're cutting your own profit. But it is something that creates trust in you as an installer. So that's takes a bit of courage, I think, at the beginning, but it will pay off with more deals and satisfied customers in the long term. And yeah, you also said fit the products to what you yourself are convinced about and to what fits to your clients. So don't try to bend anything towards a bigger margin.
Yeah, I think it's in that way very important to know what products are available so that we can actually offer the right product to the right person type of thing. And it's a lot of, obviously, the solar industry, everything is changing all the time. There's new products coming on the market. And it's just important to stay on top of what's happening, what is available in South Africa. And I think especially as a woman in the industry, we haven't really talked about it much yet, but I think the technical aspect, it is important that, look, we can be technical as men can be, you know, but it's important, I think, even more so that we know exactly what the products do, what the limitations are, and be very upfront about it to the clients, because there's no point of telling them that they will be off grid, but then they get an electric bill 2 months later and they're still paying half of what they used to, and then they're very upset because they were overpromised of what a system just cannot do. The sun is only shining when it shines, right? So I found just the honesty and upfrontness about what the system really will be able to do or not do very important to just gain that trust with what we're selling.
Yeah, definitely. Before we look more into the inside of a company and what women can do, I have one more question for Mo. As a manufacturer, you're the one giving us the new products, new product ranges, new products every month. What do you do to support the installers? What you told that you said at the beginning that you offer service and consultation and help with the pre-sales for projects. What else do you do, and how do the installers accept that offer, or do you think they should make more use of what you provide for them?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. So with Fronius, we do offer a standard 5-year free warranty for all our inverters that are sold in South Africa. So if you purchase the inverter and if it's a fault due to the manufacturer, we will, repair and replace that inverter for free. Another thing to note with Fronius, we're kind of unique on the market because what we do is we do PC board replacement. So generally in an inverter, there's about 4 or 5 PC boards. If something had to go wrong in an inverter, it's usually 1 or 2 out of those 5 PC boards. It's very rare that the entire inverter is burnt out or something like that. So with this, view of servicing, we can literally service the inverter on site. So what's really good, if you have a Fronius inverter and something does go wrong down the line, the repair can be done on site. You don't have to send the inverter back to Fronius. And again, that's going to lead to a happy customer. If I look at the competition, a competitor's inverter, the inverter's purchased, there's an issue with the inverter gets sent back to the distributor's got to send it overseas, and it adds another 2 or 3 months of the client potentially not having an inverter. So that's something very important to note. And the way we do our after sales support in South Africa is that we have multiple distributors across South Africa, and our distributors basically have a fully trained technical support team that is basically the first line of support. So if you purchase a Fronius inverter from a certain distributor, and if there's an issue with an inverter, you will have to contact the distributor, who will be your first line of support. If the issue might be a bit too complicated for them to sort out, they then get into contact with Fronius, and we are kind of your second level of support. But above all of that, we also have a service hotline, which we don't really stop anybody from calling. Okay, And what's really nice about our service hotline is that it's available for about 18 hours, Monday to Friday. And the reason why we are available for about 18 hours is that we have 4 international offices which are located across the globe in different time zones. So I think Louise mentioned it early on about having a support team located in one country where the time zone might be 7 or 8 hours different from South Africa's. But I can guarantee you with our Phonus hotline, it's available for 18 out of 24 hours. So again, that is something very important because you could be sitting at site at, I don't know, 6 p.m. In a weekday, and you really want to get to talk to somebody. And you can always call the Phonus hotline. So I think that has really served us well in the market. And if you ask any Phonus installer out there, once they start installing Phonus, they don't necessarily stop installing Phonus. It's very rare that somebody has a bad experience with Phonus. And I think that's really important, and it's really helped us and gained a lot of trust for us from installers in the market. Again, we're not a cheap brand of inverter, so in order that we really have to push out our products, we need to ensure that our service is possibly as good as it can get. So yeah.
And what would you say when you look at your clients? Do they accept the help that you offer, or is that something that you would encourage them to do more?
Sorry, Vivian, I think I couldn't hear the first few words.
If you look at your own clients, do they accept the offer that you give to them and the help that you provide, or would you say that is a mistake that companies make, that they don't ask?
Okay, so I think, when I do get to deal with those clients that are asking for assistance, they do appreciate that you do provide them a quick and rapid response. They don't want to wait for 2 weeks. There are some clients and installers who are maybe a bit shy, I would say, to call the distributor or to call Phonus. They might think that, if they ask a stupid question or maybe a question that requires a simple answer, that it might seem, although they have no good real experience in the solar industry. So, we really don't discourage that, and we actually encourage our distributors to continuously do training for installers, which is very important. So with our product range, what we really push on the market is that we offer training on our products, which is very important because each inverter on the market, the way you install it and commission it can be quite different. And the last thing that you want an installer to do on site is to do an error, and all of a sudden that error is an installer's fault, and all of a sudden the inverter breaks, and all of a sudden it's not covered by warranty. So the last thing you want to do as an installer is install an inverter you have no experience in without prior training, and something goes wrong and you have to pay for that inverter out of your pocket eventually. So that's another point I really want to stress, is that please, to all the attendees out there, attend the manufacturer's training. It's a reason why these trainings are 2 or 3 days long. Some of these products can be quite in-depth, and especially on the commercial sector, it does get quite complicated, I would say.
We see the questions every day in our alumni Telegram group, how to commission the different inverters, what to do here, what to do there. So that is definitely something where you need to take all the help you can get. So yeah, we had a question about the Phonus hotline in the chat. But I think you can either share the number in the chat, or I'm sure it's also available on the Phonus website.
Sure,
Louise,
I'll drop it in the chat.
You wanted to add something?
I wanted to just add as well is that some of the distributors like ourselves also offer commissioning assistance. So especially to new incomer installers, people that's new to Big John, we are also a Fronius distributor, and I mean, I can really commend the training that Fronius does. We do our own Victron training as well. So it's very important that people look out for those advertisements through either email or how we advertise our training. But just in addition, what we do to differentiate is to say we do offer commissioning assistance. We don't do the installation for our trade guys, but we do go out to site and offer them commission assistance with the products. If they are a little bit unsure, they can make an appointment. It does come at a charge, but it's better to have that one person with the expertise in the back end that just comes to site. If you are scared to push that on button, just double checks all your wiring, link to the products, and make sure that the site is commissioned effectively. So that support is also out there. And I think it's important that people use that, because there's knowledgeable people that can help just to come and check if everything is 100% A-OK.
Yeah, definitely. And Get Off Grid is like a company that assists the installers a lot. Hey, that's part of your strategy. So
yes,
definitely there to help.
Yeah. So we can't compete often on price with some of the bigger guys, but we definitely give that value add support, which it's to really to win their hearts and minds over and above the quality product.
So can clients also call you and ask, hey, I have a difficult potential job here, they are argumenting this and that, and then you give them some tips from your sales experience?
Yes, obviously I'm not that technical, so we have got 2 technical people that assist with some design input as well. I think it's important that the person does the original design and that we come in and then look at it and support and add value to that design. But there is also opportunity to let people design stuff for you. But I think it's important, if you want to be in this industry, that you do your own design work and rather be a good student and let people double check your work. If you ask for help, most of the time people will assist, just to double check that you're on the right path.
Yeah, true. A good balance between own initiative and then seeking for support, I think, is the key to success and will foster your own learning process. Yeah. Okay. I would say let's switch topics from the outside, from the client perspective, to the inside, how to organize your own solar company. First question, because there has been another technical question already in the chat, and I know our audience, they are all about what size of panels, how to use the components, all the technical questions. But how important is technical knowledge in a solar company? When you see, of course, the installation must be correct, quality is important, but if you see the whole picture, how important is it that you have the most technical knowledge everywhere in the company? Maybe Historina, you can say something on that from DPA view and your own company's view.
Thank you, Vivian. So having technical knowledge, I would say it's very important, because so if you have like something that you're not sure of, but then you at least know the basics, so that would be like your point of reference. So knowing a little bit of having a little bit of that technical knowledge would make sure that you get a better assistance when you go ask those questions, because like Mo mentioned that some clients they would feel like when they ask questions they're asking questions that seem dumb or something like that, or seem a bit stupid, but then so having a little bit of the technical knowledge will assist you to know what to ask and what exactly are you looking for.
Okay. Sophia?
If I can add something that just came up a lot, I think what is important is to fully understand what the client wants also long term, because sometimes they might want to start at a certain point, but then later on, let's say they want to add batteries or they want to add another building or whatever they want, and to just start off already. Sometimes it's not possible. We don't know really what in 2 or 3 years is on the market and if batteries are still compatible and all of these things. But to at least try to see the full picture and not just advise on the immediate. And that's where I think that the technical knowledge comes in a little bit, to make sure that what we're installing now is still compatible in a year when he wants to expand or not, or add batteries, or look, if he says he's got a certain budget at the moment, but in future he want to potentially add batteries or more batteries to make sure that the battery that is added now can even have another battery parallel to it or not. So I think that's a little bit where also some technical knowledge comes in to ensure the correct installation, not just short term, but also for the long term of the customer.
Also, maybe just to add on what she said. So from the client's perspective, when you're getting the requirement from the client, so having that technical knowledge would assist you when the client would put them in the way, so like in simple terms, but then you would know how to go put it in an engineering design or something like that. So if you don't have a little bit of that background, it would be difficult for you to take what the client requirement, to take the client requirement and translate it into an engineering solution or to come up with the design. So if your technical knowledge will correspond or will link up with what the client is saying. So they will say, put it in simple words, but then you would be able to put it in a technical view of things.
No, I agree, because sometimes to be too technical with end clients and homeowners who have no idea what cable size, they don't care if it's 4 mil or 6 mil or whatever. So that's kind of the background knowledge that we must make sure we get right. But to communicate every little detail to the homeowner is not usually very beneficial, because they will get lost in the detail. So I fully agree on that.
Louise, you have experience in sales also in other industries you mentioned. How important is it? Now you changed from IT and oil and gas to solar, and obviously you are not an engineer. How important is it for sales?
I think, for me, I think your split technical versus sales and human skills and engagement and stuff is, for me, the split is probably about at frontline 40-60. So 60% all about the service and the positioning at a high level, and 40% around having good technical knowledge. People are often willing to let you come back to them if you don't have an answer, if you don't understand something. So, but then I think it's more important to then, in fact, go back and respond and go that extra mile and give them a very good answer. For me, across all industries that I've ever been in, very technical, very complex industries, that split remains the same. I don't see that salespeople need to be 100% aligned with all the technical detail, but they do need to be incredibly good at following up, following through, having the conversations, and doing a very good positioning to the customer. For the in-depth stuff, when customers do go there, you can always make sure that you just respond very well. For me, in that front line, the service is more important than the actual technical stuff. And I do find, and just a bit of side note, quirky stuff, the very technical people, the engineers, the very technical electricians, they don't make the best salespeople. So it's almost like you do have to have that split and balance. And I believe the balance, and I'm putting myself out there to say it's about 60-40 from a sales perspective.
I would agree. Yeah. Maybe to bring in that woman aspect, and I would like to get Jennifer's opinion on this, because I think you've been observing quite a bit how it all works to like make a sale, have a project, talk about the technical stuff. Do you think that women have kind of a different perception of that? And is that an advantage for us in sales? You're still on mute.
What I saw, sometimes we go out to see a client before we send a quote, and me and my father usually go does the site visits. So they're like, the client is more comfortable when there's a woman around, and I saw that they ask more questions, think about outside the box, how can this work. So we made like a little drawing of how the system works to explain to the customer a little bit more of what is getting and how it works and how many production the panels will make, and to see his needs for the backup, what he will need to get him through the night.
It sounds like it's a good combination, you and your father, to have a woman where people can open up and admit their weakness, that they don't know everything about solar in advance. And then is it that your father is received as the technical person, that they address for technical questions, or do you get those as well?
Sometimes my father lets me do it so I can learn a bit more and get some more experience. But yes, there is some technical questions that I struggle to answer. So before we go, I like revise a few research questions to answer them, not get confused about what the client asks.
Yeah, well, that's part of the learning, I guess. I'm not even sure if I could answer all questions. But yeah, I think it's going in a team and benefiting from each other's strength is always a good idea. So everyone who's looking for sales staff out there, make teams. Choose a woman, choose a man to go together on site. Yeah, no, I think that is really a good strategy. Talking about finding a team, I also observed the discussion also in our Telegram group that sales staff is often needed. So where would you say can you find staff, and where do you find especially sales staff for solar companies? Sophia, you mentioned you hired people recently, or you have staff now. Where did you find them, and who does your sales?
Yes, I actually, so the one lady I found on LinkedIn, so I just made a LinkedIn kind of advert of, I need a salesperson. It was actually a sales position in any case. And yeah, so that is the one option, I guess. Going through recruitment agencies is also another option. I also actually found someone through recruitment agencies. Yeah, I don't know. I think these are probably two avenues. I think Louise has maybe some other ways, but we actually, so I found personally being a salesperson also, obviously everybody does sales. Starting a company, you have to sell something and get a project going. I think as a woman, we have sometimes the ability to translate technical details into something that someone who isn't technical can understand easier. But I'm sure there's also men who can do that. But I never found it really a disadvantage being a woman in the industry in sales, as long as obviously they see that you do know what you're talking about. So yeah, I have very good experiences.
Louise, you wanted to add on that.
Yeah, I just want to say that if you are recruiting salespeople and you're looking for salespeople, don't be stuck on your own industry. Don't look and say, I'm going to make it easier for myself when I get somebody from the industry. I've had the best hires in my life has been when it's people from other industries. They bring a fresh perspective to the industry. They've got different approaches, and it's always good to have that diversity. If an industry turns in on itself and constantly hires from each other or inside, it's always an inner circle that hires, and people move from company to company within the same industry, it becomes quite stale. If I was looking at hiring now, there's a lot of beautiful SIA people out there that's looking for jobs. And if you look at the salesperson, look at them to have the correct attitude, the enthusiasm. If they sell correctly and with conviction, they can literally sell anything. And I'm not the type of person that says, I'll ask you an Eskimo, but if they sell with passion and they sell with conviction and you treat them well and you reward them well, salespeople will sell whatever you want them to sell. So there's something to be said for not always looking within the industry. Go and find other people outside of the industry with sufficient sales experience that can come and contribute and make sure that the pool of diversity grows.
Yeah, I think diversity is one of the strong success factors for a company, just to have not your own view. And I think people, especially at the beginning, tend to hire somebody that is like them, which is not necessarily bad for the beginning, but then you need to start adding other people into it so that you break out of that, your own bubble that you created. Yeah. We are slowly getting to the end. So I got a question from the audience to Louise and Sophia. And we want to know, how do you set your solar project sales target? Sophia, do you want to start? Or
Yeah.
Do you set a target at all?
Look, not fully sophisticated, like probably as a company you should. I'm not sure. I think partly I really also believe in walking by faith almost, like there are some clients you want to have as clients, and there are some clients where afterwards it was better to not have them, and you're happy that you actually didn't do a project if someone is really, really super difficult and just, I don't know. So yeah, I have to admit, I probably should be better at having better targets. So we don't have full targets of we have to meet this and this per month, because also it is a little bit, some month there's lots and lots of projects and then some months is not, but it is really, I think what is very important is to have a good sales pipeline, because sometimes there is just a season where a lot of projects comes through, and sometimes people, they have researched a lot, they know what they want, they decide that they want to use you and they make a payment and you install 2 weeks later. But mostly I have to say that the kind of timeline of someone starting to first contact you until the sale is coming through is often 2, 3, 4 months. Sometimes I have even clients that after a year come back to me and say, do you remember last year you sent me a quote? Now I'm ready to go ahead. It is just not something like buying a pair of shoes where you walk into a mall and you know you need it and then you walk out with a pair of shoes. It is a big investment that people want to spend time, and I fully always agree and appreciate that people must research, and it's good to get a couple of quotes because that's just good practice to do. I would do that for my own personal life as well if I would do an investment like that. So I fully appreciate that it's a longer turnaround time almost, and some month are more sales, some month are less. I am always trusting that at the right time, the right projects are coming through.
Maybe Historina can give some interesting insights here as well. Is there anything, I know you're more on the technical side of things at DPA, but is there something that we can copy from the big corporates also for slightly smaller companies maybe?
So on the corporate side, from DPA side, I noticed that so your sales department plays a lot of a big role in your company, because they are the ones who are going to bring the deals for you. So without them bringing anything, me on the solutions department, I won't be able to do anything. So I am basically depending on them to bring deals in order for me to do the designs and the engineering solutions. So I think the sales department, it's very important. You have to have it. So on my AE Energy, on the smaller company, because it is still small, so we are relying mostly on our website. So most leads we get from the website, where someone will just call and say, or send the email or the inquiry on the website. And then that's how we get our leads. And most of our leads are coming from the referrals. So if we've done the solution for you, we are very lucky that, so if we did the installation today, most definitely the same week, we get someone from who was referred by the client that we already did the installation for. So we always try to make sure that when we do those installations, we do them, they have to be perfect so that we get those referrals, because that's what we are mostly depending on. So referrals, and the other side, the sales department.
Okay. We have one more question. Pabalo is asking, when starting, what were the challenges you came across in terms of commissioning or installing? And what was different compared to what you learned when you did a workshop, or what you found in research than in practice?
So, oh, sorry, it was not directed to me.
You can answer if you want. Yeah, sure.
So I was saying on the commissioning side, I think it is very important to make sure that you checked that you got the right product that you ordered. So I'm saying that because on my very first installation, we were battling with the commissioning, only to find out that they gave us the wrong communication cable. So all along, we spent like 2 days trying to figure out what is wrong with Victron, and there was nothing wrong with the Victron. We just got the wrong communication cable. So with the commissioning, I think it's very important. Checking your product, it's very important, and also familiarizing yourself with the product that you're going to install. There is more mentioned that even Louise, that they provide with the webinars and the training on their website. So before you start with the installation, I think it's very important that you make sure that you go through those installation manuals, installation training, just to make sure that you're not gonna damage your inverter or your whatever equipment you're going to install. Thank you.
But I think everyone can agree that the first installation is never easy, and it will be problems. Okay. Do we have more questions from the audience? Anything you want to ask?
Yes. I said I should not come in front of the camera anymore.
Okay. We have one more.
Yeah, it's more like a comment. I stay here. I will not come.
Can you understand, Antje? Okay, let me see.
Let me come in front of the camera. Sorry. Sorry, let me come in front of the camera. We have one actually comment. So we got quite a lot of comments, and I tried to come back to them. And one comment was that so besides reducing costs, the greenhouse gas reduction is also quite important. And so maybe more a question from us adding to that. So I know when we started in the country more than 10 years ago, so that were our arguments and nobody wanted to hear about that. So, but the world changed, and the question is, so maybe if this is also a sales argument now, and how important this is in your business. You can ask.
Good question. does anyone of you in the solar companies ever come across such a question from the client side?
Maybe I haven't seen that as the biggest argument. Obviously, in South Africa, one of the biggest arguments is to have battery backup for load shedding, to not sit in the dark, to have light so the kids can do homework and not at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's completely in the darkness. So I think that's just the biggest argument that overshadows a lot of the green. I had someone who specifically requested if there is South African local made panels, for example, because he wanted, like, it was a homeowner, but he wanted to just make sure that he gets as much as possible locally manufactured. But mostly I have to say it's not the biggest discussion we have. Maybe I'm a bit biased as well, because I read once an article that says that actually the whole production of solar panels itself and the whole production of batteries, and then when they have to be disposed again, that whole side is not that green as the actual then installing it, so
fake news.
But, yeah, look, I think in South Africa it's not a huge I've not come across a lot of that argument that someone wants to convert to solar because he then feels better about being green. Maybe in the background, but it's mostly the load shedding and the saving of energy.
It's probably what comes up when you intensify the discussion and then you talk about those topics with the client. Yeah. To clear up that rumor, solar panels have an energy payback time of 3 to 5 years. That means they generate the electricity it costs to produce them within 3 to 5 years, or manufacturing costs. So
good to know.
It's going.
Yeah, it was just an article that said that it also uses a lot of energy to produce them. It didn't go into completely.
Yeah, no. It is a question that we often get. So, and I think people don't know, and it's not the easiest thing to find when you just Google. And then recycling is being set up, and solar panels are like really good to recycle. The topic is a bit different for batteries. It's new technology and just on its way. But yeah.
At least they are long lasting too. Panels are 25, 30 years. They last a long time. So it's not like they have to be disposed of quickly, but.
And another argument to install long lasting components that don't have to be replaced after a few years. One last comment from the audience.
Yes. I just wanted to say that we have one question, which I want to raise right away. It's if there's a panelist who would offer mentorship. So that's a question we got. So yeah, but we will share the contacts of the panelists, and then you can contact them directly.
I think Mo is definitely available for mentoring with regards to Fronius commissioning. The others, if you are also available, we can offer that the audience can send us an email to info@solar-training.org, and then we would just match panelists if they would like to with mentees, and then we can exchange. Okay. Yeah, I think we are really on time this time, 5:30, and we're done, all questions cleared. If there's anything else that you want to ask tomorrow, you can always send us an email, and we also have our Telegram or WhatsApp alumni group where you can put questions, and we will find answers there definitely. Thank you very much for joining me today on this panel. I think it was super interesting. We could have continued for long more. This topic is, I know it's not a technical topic and it's not as interesting as other topics maybe, but for the company development and the long-term success, it's super important to also talk about like the management stuff and the sales and everything non-technical. The Telegram group can be accessed. There was just a question in the audience. The Telegram group can also be accessed. Either if you have one of our contacts, just WhatsApp me, or you just send an email to info@solar-training.org, and then we send you the link, and then you can join. It's open for all alumni. Everybody who ever did a course with Green or Make Solar Academy is welcome to join. And before we all rush away, I have an announcement for our next alumni meeting. We continue with this online format, and the next topic will be on SSEG systems, SSEG registrations, legislations, what to do, how to go through all the paperwork. And we will have Chris Bailey join us from Green Sun. And the date is 28th of October. The invitation will be in your email inbox and communicated on our social media channels. And it would be great to see you all there again. Thanks again to all my panelists for joining us. It was really great to exchange with you. And yeah, have a good day further.
Thank you. Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you so much.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Hmm?